cool. That's going.
There we go.
Right, good.
Easy
Good,
peasy.
good. Now you can hear us, see us.
Try not to make fun of us.
No. So you guys ready to start?
Yep,
After
I'm
this
ready.
cool siren goes by? Yes. All right, we're going to start in 5, 4... 5... Can't do it. 5, 4, 3, 2... Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm Derek Lemaster.
And this is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where you get your horror movie news. We review a movie each week, and we decide on the fate of the world. What are you guys doing?
It's a good thing that I don't have that power.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of people that were history. So what's new, guys? Anything?
Got a new job.
That is awesome.
You told us about that. You just couldn't remember the name, so I'm hoping you found out the name before you went.
I figured out the name,
Good.
I found the place, and
Good.
I started working.
Good.
Nice.
You like it so far?
Yeah, not bad.
I did not
Change of
start
pace.
a new job. I stayed with the same one, and people just keep getting crazier. So,
Hey, they make for fun stories to tell
they do.
your friends. Anonymously, by the way.
Yeah.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah. So, I've got some horror movie news for you guys. There's not a lot going on this week as far as the horror news. But what we do have is pretty interesting. I'm going to open with this right here because it's a thread we picked up on last week. Remember last week we talked about a new Paranormal Activity movie. And we talked about what that would be if we're our interest level of that. So we've got a rating now on this one and a title. So apparently it is rated R, of course, as it should be. It is titled Next of Kin. Paranormal Activity Next of Kin. It is a flat-out reboot. That'll drop on Paramount streaming sometime in October. So does that news excite you any, or your excitement level exactly the same as it was before?
What did you call it?
Next of Kin. Next of Kin. So I'm assuming that it probably involves the sibling to the original woman. Yeah.
I would have assumed that it was going to incorporate
Maybe.
Barbie dolls as the villains of the story, but
It's the wrong kin.
that's just me. But you don't know.
I was assuming
Could be a play
you
on
would-
words.
Hey, if it's Next of Kin, they might incorporate Patrick Swayze, like they bring him back via seance.
Wow.
Sorry, Patrick.
I mean, who doesn't want to see Patrick Swayze come back, though?
I would.
No,
I
that's
would
true.
love to see
Yeah,
that.
you know.
Everybody would go see that.
Yeah, I would definitely see it. So look for that this October, starring Patrick Swayze. Paranormal Activity Next of Kin.
I'm going to put a disclaimer on this.
So, Derek, you and I talked about this a little bit off mic, but we were talking about and we talked about it a little bit last week, all three of us, about the PG-13 rating for Venom: Let There Be Carnage, and how we were all disappointed that it was PG-13, considering Venom should be an R-rated character, and especially if you're introducing Carnage.
Yep.
So I don't know if you knew this, but the new Venom movie is being directed by Andy Serkis. So that's cool. But he says what I talked about today, Derek, that the PG-13 rating is pushed clear up against the line. He said we could go down an R-rated adult version of this. Of course we could. You could have done that with the last film, but we wanted to reach a big audience with this, and There are several rules you have to abide by. However, having said that, I think we push to the very limits with danger and darkness in the threat and menace of carnage. What do you think of that? Do you think that's a PR line? Do you think that it's the story's still going to be hurt by the fact that we have a PG-rated Venom as opposed to an R-rated Venom?
Yeah, I definitely think the story is going to be hurt just because, that next tier is very broad, right? And you can do a lot of things within that space. So I do think it is going to maybe hurt it a little bit. I'm sure it's going to still be entertaining, and it's going to be just a fun movie to watch. But, they also could have done what Deadpool did and then came out with a PG-13 version. That way you have kind of two cuts of that movie. That would have been kind of fun to see. But also, I also say that with the generation of today, do they even card when you go to the movie theaters to say, like, are you sure you're 13? But I get it. I get what they're getting at.
Lydia, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of hard to tell. Like, part of me wants to trust his judgment, and he probably knows what he's doing. So hopefully, if they're right on the line, it might still be pretty good.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sure it's gonna be good, but hopefully it's not terrible.
Yeah, let's hope not. As long as it's not Amazing Spider-Man 2 levels of bad. I compared it to the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is a PG-13 rated movie, but it's as close to an R-rated PG-13 as you could get, basically. It's pretty... The violence is pretty strong, but it's not graphic. The themes are very dark. But it's still fun, and it's still a Batman movie. But it is a very hard PG-13. So, I'm not saying this thing's going to be the Dark Knight. I don't think it's going to be even close to in that level. But, I like Andy Serkis. I like Tom Hardy. Andy Serkis is Caesar, so I hail to him. Those were also very hard PG-13, especially War of the Planet of the Apes. That was a pretty dire PG-13. So I remember going to the movies and seeing that. You're like, whew! Pretty dark. Pretty dark one. It's great, though. All of those movies are great. Okay, this is fun. Elvira makes her horror host return with Shudder's Elvira's 40th anniversary Very, Very Scary special.
Ooh.
I'm down with that.
Yes, it will be the special debut Saturday, September 25th at 8 p.m. How excited are you guys for this?
That's awesome. I'm pretty excited.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Up until a couple of years ago, every Halloween, like in that time period, Quincy and I would watch the Elvira Mistress of the Dark movie.
It's a great one.
It is great. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's very funny. It has some great boob jokes. That's basically 90% of the movie is boob jokes.
Yeah. Well, if you got it, flaunt it, I guess.
Yeah, she's definitely got it, and she should definitely flaunt it. I love Elvira. She's hilarious. She's fun. She's great. I'm excited to see this myself. So this was big news. As we know, we talked about Halloween Kills premiered at the Venice Film Festival. And as of this recording, it is 30 days away. So we're a month away from Halloween Kills, guys. But this is news. Halloween Kills will be released on Peacock the same day as in theaters. So you pay a special tier for Peacock. I don't know what the rental price is. But basically you can pay to rent it on... you can pay to stream it on Peacock on October 15th if you'd rather not go to the theater. So it's the same day and date that they've been doing with like HBO's movies.
Yeah, Disney.
In Disney, yes. But with HBO Max, all you have to do is have the premium package of HBO
Yeah,
Max, and you
it's
just get all those movies. There's no extra cost. But with Disney, it was like $35 for Black Widow, and in the newest one. So with this, it doesn't give me a cost, but it does offer that result due to the pandemic. What do you guys think of this day and date release for this movie? And are we still going to go see it in the theaters?
Yeah, I would love to go see it in the theaters. I'm vaccinated. You're vaccinated. Lydia, are you vaccinated? You don't
Yes,
have
I
to
am.
actually disclose that if you don't want to. But
She
anyway.
is. She's vaccinated.
Proud vaccinator.
We are a Vax podcast here, folks.
But I also see where they're coming from. I mean, that's going to give them the broadest audience that they can to make, the most money that they can. So I get it from their perspective, and that's probably the future of where we're headed anyway. Hopefully there's still that novelty of being able to go to a movie theater.
Well,
I'm sure there will be, but...
Well, it appears that, we're getting to the point where there's going to be exclusive theater windows, 30 to 60 day theater windows before it hits streaming. Especially after we get past the pandemic, in the depths of the pandemic. We're going to get into more of that. But I still want to go see it in the theaters. I think that's what we should do. It is cool to have the option if we wanted to sit at home, and there's certain movies that I definitely thought about going to the theaters, but they were on HBO Max, so I decided to watch them on that. But, it was earlier in the pandemic still, like Godzilla vs. Kong. I wanted to go see on the biggest screen possible, but that wasn't really an option at that time, so I watched it on HBO Max. But with this, I think we should make a Scream Bloody Movies date and go check out Halloween Kills. October 15th, guys.
I'd be down for a field trip. I'll get my mom to sign my release.
Yeah.
My slip.
I make my own rules.
I am married.
Me too, but I still make my own rules. Lydia, do you make your own rules?
No.
No, I don't.
Derek, I
don't
know
at
where
all.
you're coming from.
All right, and this is the last bit of horror news. I say this one for last because I thought it would be something to discuss. There is a company, Dish Network, said it will pay a viewer $1,300 to watch 13 movies based on Stephen King novels, such as Carrie, It, and The Shining. The network wants to monitor any jump scares, screams, or lacks of sleep after watching the films. Participants will be given a worksheet to document their experiences, changes in sleep, and comments on just how scary the films were.
How do you sign up for this?
Yeah, sign me up.
I think we could easily make it through 13 Stephen King movies, right?
And it's back to back, right? So you got to watch them
Back to
all.
back.
So that's at least.
I think
20.
you could probably sleep at some point because they're wanting to know how badly you sleep, right?
Well, if you don't get a sleep for an entire day, because some of those movies I imagine are kind of long. I
Well,
remember the
13,
end
there's
of
no
it,
way you
yeah.
can watch 13 in a day.
Is that a
Even
challenge?
with simple math, that's impossible.
Well,
You-
no, but yeah, in one stint. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
24-hour
yes.
period.
Yeah, a 24-hour period. So, yeah, so the goal is, in a separate opportunity, Finance Buzz is recruiting horror movie heart rate analysts. Their goal is to determine whether a movie's budget influences its dread-inducing factor. So that way they can tell how much they can spend on horror movies, essentially. Those guys will only provide a $50 gift card, as opposed to the other one that is $1,300 for the 13 Stephen King movies.
Yeah, we should look into signing up for this.
So, what do you guys think of this, experiment?
I'm really curious about what, I don't know.
So here's my.
How,
Oh, go ahead, Lydia. I'm sorry.
it's just how do they decide? I mean, I guess just because it like varies from person to person on like what they're scared of and how they're feeling, kind of.
That's definitely correct. I mean, something that scares me doesn't necessarily scare you, or vice versa. So yeah, it's all tastes. As far as the heart rate one goes, I mean, that's interesting to see if budget. I think budget can affect a movie as far as the compromised vision of the filmmaker, but I don't think the higher the budget, the better the film by any stretch. I mean,
Yeah,
the Evil Dead was made for $275,000 in 1979. So I mean, and it's the Evil Dead now. Whereas that one horror movie starring Gary Oldman, the Unborn, was probably made for a couple $1 million and was way worse than the Evil Dead.
Yeah, and so there's two things about this that I'm curious about. One is people are desensitized to a lot of horror movies, especially ones that are kind of a little dated. Some of them are classics, and some of them have that like kind of clout around them. But like you've probably seen these movies, or at least a couple of them. So I feel like that's kind of a tainted perspective to go into it, because you probably know where all these are. I wonder what if they're super selective on who they choose.
Yeah, that's what I was getting
like
at.
one of the criteria, maybe you've never seen these movies before.
Yeah, which would be, so you get basically, if you haven't seen a bunch of Stephen King movies, and you're just probably not a fan of horror movies, so you're getting non-horror fans to watch horror movies to see what scares them, which is probably not the best way to go about that.
Right.
Because, I mean, they're probably just not going to be fans of it regardless, right?
Yeah, I would say if I were to give that idea a grade, I would give it a C-.
Could you imagine being a non-horror watcher and getting paid to sit down and watch all of Stephen King's movies? How amazing that would be!
Amazing.
Like, you would have to be a fan after. I feel like
that's what I'm saying. It would have to turn you into it, unless the ones they picked were like fucking Dreamcatcher or something.
And then you'd be like, "What is this stuff?"
I'm gonna make you watch Dreamcatcher and the remake of Pet Sematary.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then they would know, don't make a movie like that, because that is not scary.
This sucks.
Or their heart rate would go crazy, and they would be like, make more movies like that.
That would be terrifying.
And then all the horror community would be pissed.
Yeah, like, don't do that. The movie sucks.
You know what I wish that they would do? I wish that they would get like 13 new release films that are going to come out. I mean, it doesn't have to be 13, but like, here are these 13 movies. We want you to be the like test audience, and you sign up for it, and then because then you're getting a genuine reaction from people who enjoy that genre, who have never seen those movies because they're new, and I think you get a more pure response out of that.
I agree. That would
be fun.
Yeah. I think we should do our own experiment. I think instead of 13, well, of course, because that's a lot, we should do a time-lapse marathon, and we'll watch, let's say, what do you guys think, 4 movies?
I think 4 is great,
4 movies in a day. We'll all 3 get together. We'll watch them. We'll do like a time-lapse marathon of it, and then present our results at the end of it. So we will let you guys pick the movies, as long as they're not ones that we are going to review in the near future. So you guys get to pick the movies for this 4 film marathon. What do you guys think of this idea?
Yeah, I think we should probably do it at the beginning of next year.
Yes, it'll be next year, because we have this year booked. But are you guys down for this?
I'm down with that. If we get the responses and we get some movies thrown out there, I'd be down.
I'm down.
We'll get some popcorn.
We did
popcorn last week. We're never going to do it again.
No, I meant the actual food.
Oh.
Jeez.
What were you saying, Lydia?
We need to get heart monitors. And
ooh, yeah. Get our Apple Watches on.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
And have our Apple Watches.
Good idea.
Monitor it. So you guys better pick some good movies. And we need all the responses we can get. That was the most organic thing we've ever come up with. Right here on the spot.
Beautiful.
You guys saw it here first.
Love it.
All right. So now that we booked ourselves in some crazy 4-film marathon, at the mercy of our viewers/listeners, let's dig into today's film. We're of course doing The Witch, which is Robert Eggers' feature film debut, actually. We'll get to Robert Eggers' newest one soon as well, The Lighthouse. That's an interesting movie. I don't know if either of you guys have seen that.
I have.
It's an interesting one. We'll definitely have some stuff to say about that. I will definitely think I have more to say about The Lighthouse than today's, but just because a bunch of crazy shit happens.
Yeah,
So,
no crazy shit happens in this movie.
Scary shit. We'll get into it. We're gonna get into it. It just happens very slowly. So, Lydia, you've seen this movie before, and you really enjoy this movie, yes?
Yes, I've seen this movie probably 5 times now. I love it. I don't know. I'm giving away my
Yes, that's fine.
Obviously, I like this movie.
We'll dig into it more. Derek and I won't talk about whether we liked it or not, but we'll talk about our experience with this movie. Derek, this is your first time watching it, yes?
Yep.
Yep.
Sure is.
This is a first for me that I like. Derek hasn't seen the one that I've seen.
I know. Well, last week, you and I were in the opposite boat because we had no idea what the hell popcorn was.
Yeah.
So
and now you know. And now you know.
Now we're like, oh, it's a grainy show on YouTube.
Wait till we get to Children of the Night, and you're going to be like, Derek, you did it to us again. What is this?
I can't wait for Children of the Night, first one.
Oh, but you should.
Wait till we get to Hayride 2.
Oh my god, what's the one with John Rocker?
In season 7, we'll be hitting Hayride 2.
That was the Greenskeeper. The Greenskeeper has John Rocker. Anyway.
Yes. So this is my second time seeing this movie. I watched it back in 2015 when it came out, but I haven't seen it in a long time, since 2015. So it was almost, when I watched it this time, it was almost like watching it for the first time, because I remember basically the atmosphere of the movie, and a couple of the significant beats, but that was about it. So it was like kind of going in, rewatching this movie, because it wasn't on my, I didn't buy it, I didn't own it or anything. It's, not like Creepshow or something. So, which, by the way, actually, we've been saying last week for popcorn was 2 weeks ago. Last week was Creepshow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
We're just recording in advance. That's what happens.
Okay. Time flies when you're
Little
having fun.
inside baseball for you. All right, so let's start with this movie. We open with this kind of these guys basically being, it's a family. They're in a church setting. We're set in like the Puritan times. We don't have like an exact date. These people are hardcore Puritan Christians. And if you don't know anything about Puritan times, they were the church, everything revolved around the church, essentially. So our protagonist family, at the beginning of the movie, basically gets excommunicated from the church. And we don't know the reasoning. We just see that he's having a conversation with them, and they basically say, "You're not welcomed here," or whatever. And William, who is the patriarch of the family, leaves with his family, and they all ride off into the wilderness on a horse and buggy. And we get a great score to open the movie. We get like this cool little score, and then the title pops up, which is not a W but 2 V's put together for The Witch. Very neat. What do you guys think of this opening scene?
I love it. I feel like I always do that. I'm just like,
Why for?
I like it. I like it. I don't even know how to explain how I feel about this movie. You know what? I don't get to see a lot of movies like set in this time. For one, I love listening to them talk so much. I don't even know. Like, their accent is amazing. Wardrobe, amazing. Sound, amazing. Like, everything about it, I love. The color, love it. It immediately draws me in. I'm, like, interested. I get quiet and I just want to listen. And just like, because it's a quiet movie.
So you bring up a very good point. I'll get to you in a second, Derek. But you bring up a very good point about the dialogue. Because they speak in Old English. Mm-hmm. So I had to turn on the subtitles. Because I watched this on Comcast, or on DirecTV, Showtime. And the sound wasn't awful, it was fine. But they were speaking, quickly and in Old English. I was like, "What the hell did that guy just say?" they're like, "Out with thee, with a fight," and you're like, "What the fuck?" So I turned on the subtitles so I could see when he's like, "Be still," peace, because he said peace, and I was like, did he say pee? What's he saying? I don't understand. So, yeah, I understood. So that's a thing that might turn off some viewers, is that they speak in Old English. It's kind of like that whole Romeo and Juliet, the DiCaprio version, when it's set in modern times, but there's for some reason speaking Old English and shooting at each other with guns. That movie is a fucking trip. That movie's a fucking trip. But it's an acquired taste. It's something that you have to settle into. Then as the movie went on, it became less distracting. I was understanding it easier, especially with the subtitles. Derek, what are your thoughts on this opening scene?
I thought it was interesting, and I was kind of drawn in. And the dad's voice is he's super unique, and through the entire movie,
so good.
He embodies that character very, very well. I think this movie was cast very well. Every single character was cast very well. And that's the reason I'm going to give it the mark I'm going to give it at the end. But, I was intrigued. I was like, why are they getting excommunicated? You wanted the backstory. You wanted to see that. The fact that, also made me appreciate the times that we live in. As turbulent as they can be, you still can't, they just decide, hey, we don't want you to be a part of our community anymore. Away with you. So, it was interesting. It definitely drew me in.
Well, the good news for me is I can't be excommunicated from any church.
Yeah, right?
Because I don't belong to any.
The whole time I was watching this movie, I was like, man.
Yeah, I had that same
reaction. I don't know how I could never have made it. I'd have been like, you fools!
Yeah,
what are you doing?
It's the devil! You're like, what? That's stupid. Well, there's a scene that we'll get to in a little bit with some medicine that really fucking cracked me up because of me being,
Is it this scene right here?
Yeah. We'll get to it.
I was like, oh my god.
We'll get to it. So yeah, there's it shows them some quick shots before they're setting up their farm that they're in. There's those one little weird quick shot that I wrote it down because it's just literally a 2-second shot of them sitting a fire. It's almost like a subliminal flash. The scene's so short, and I was like, wonder why the hell that's in there. But I think I know why. I think it's alluding to the end of the movie. I think it's a subliminal hint to basically the very end of this movie. Because as I watched it, I was like, what the fuck? What? That was kind of a weird shot. This movie's very meticulous, and I don't know why that shot's in there. So, time has passed. It's an indeterminate amount of time that has passed. It's at least a little while, because it's at least another season almost has passed. They have a little baby. Named Sammy. So basically the family is William. The wife, I don't remember, what's the wife's name? Mama Puritan? Yeah, Mama Puritan, that sounds good.
Let's go with that.
There's Caleb. who is the oldest boy.
Mhm.
Are you looking it up, Lydia?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
I am without phone.
What'd you say?
I said I am without phone.
Oh,
Catherine.
Okay. Catherine. So you have Catherine, Caleb, who's the oldest boy. Our main protagonist is Thomason, which is a quite unique name.
Love it.
Thomason. I was like, huh, intriguing. And then you have the twins. What are the twins' names? Do you have that pulled up?
Mercy and Jonas.
Mercy and Jonas. Yes.
I'd give those kids a little bit of mercy.
Yeah. Well, you give them very little mercy.
That's what I meant to say.
You've raised your fist and you're like, I'll give them all the mercy they need. It's like, that doesn't make any sense.
You have to be patient with kids, is what I meant. You have to be very patient with them.
I'll show you by being merciful. So the first big scene we get is we see like this creepiness going on, right? The first big thing happens is that the baby Sammy gets taken. He's taken. We get this. Go ahead.
This is such an innocent scene, right? You've got big sister playing with the little baby,
Yes.
playing peekaboo, right? And it's your worst fear, man. You close your eyes for a second and you appear and the baby's gone. And you're like, well, I know that little guy didn't just crawl away. And then,
something sinister just happened.
Yeah.
right? And it's just completely out of the blue in those few seconds. So just something so innocent
her
that turns into
face.
tragedy.
Mhm. Yeah. So.
Yeah, good.
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean, her fear, the confusion, and then we get to see the titular witch. We see this naked, creepy, saggy skin thing with the baby, and essentially looks like she eats the baby.
And rubs the baby all over
her.
And
yes. There's a very great scene, a great shot where she walks up to the baby and you see the baby laying there and she starts to kind of touch the baby's belly, little pop belly and stuff, and it's very unnerving. And as I was watching it, I couldn't help but think about a similar scene in another movie that was horribly done, which is Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers, which we'll get to eventually. And I was like, wow, isn't that funny that the same kind of idea can just be so much better in one movie than the other? But and we don't get to see much. We just see the body, a little bit of the naked body, which
Probably
by the way.
best.
Well, yeah, I was watching it and I was like, why does this character look familiar? Then I realized it looks like the old man from the Unforgiven video. So, which we will put right here. So I was like, oh, that's why it looks so familiar to me. So the next bit, we have the mom crying horribly. Basically, she's just, Catherine is inconsolable. She's behind a sheet. Caleb wakes up in the morning and hears her praying and crying, praying and crying, praying and crying. And he wakes up and he sees Tomlinson laying there, and he totally checks out her boobs.
Oh yeah.
I wrote in my notes per brother Caleb.
Well, I mean, so yeah, obviously that's probably not the direction you want to go, but they've been excommunicated, and he's coming of age. It would probably be the most natural thing to
he's got
unfortunately do
no
that.
one else to look at.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, that's an unfortunate situation.
It is. I do like your comment as You said that's probably not the way to go.
Probably not.
Probably not. Not. Oh man, yeah, poor kid's going through a lot. That's definitely that's probably not the. I mean, who knows if she's hot enough.
I mean, also you got to think about the times. That might have been more acceptable back then.
Well, we'll get to some of that. We'll get to some of that coming up in a little bit. Some of the things that were acceptable at the times.
Well, and he also knows, though, which is the thing. He knows it was bad. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, yeah, he definitely knows it was bad. So, he and his dad, Caleb and his dad, go out into the woods, which they're not supposed to go out. The woods essentially equate evil. There's something evil in those woods. But they're having a really bad crop year, like the worst. We see him looking at the corn and it's rotten, and he tells him, "We're not going to make it through another season. We need to go out and shoot. We need to kill something. We need to have something to eat." So he goes out with his son and their dog. What's the dog's name?
Fowler.
Fowler, yeah, Fowler. Son of a bitch is so mean to Fowler.
Poor dog.
I know. So they go out with Fowler, and they're in the woods, and they go to set this bear trap. And on their way to go set this well, not necessarily a bear trap, but a rabbit trap. On their way to go do this, he's quizzing his son on the Bible and on religion and on God, because that's all these people know and that's all these people talk about. They literally live their lives to be in fear of God so they can eventually meet God, is the way of the time. And I thought that was, I mean, that's how it was for a lot of people. But I think it was a very interesting character beat, because in the next scene we see him, because they said they can't look for Sammy anymore. Says he's gone. The wolves took him. Is their excuse? A wolf came and took him. So if the wolf didn't get him, hunger has already gotten him, and he is gone. So they can't look for him anymore.
Yeah.
So while they're setting the trap, he starts quizzing him on: is everybody born with sin, and is everybody doomed to hell? Do you have to repent to go to heaven? And is Sammy in hell, basically? Is Sammy in hell? Is my brother in hell? Am I going to hell if I died and I didn't repent in time? And it's this kind of really heartbreaking scene, because this poor kid has been indoctrinated to believe that, everybody is bad, and basically there's no grace. There's no grace. And you have to live your whole life in fear. What did you guys think of that scene?
Definitely sad. He's worried about his baby brother going to hell, basically, which the whole family is just worried that if the baby was killed, that he's probably in hell because he wasn't baptized, which is so sad that they're all terrified of that when it's but I do think it's sweet that the dad kind of explains things happen, and if God knows if you're a good person or if you're a bad person, it's gonna be okay. I thought that was a really touching moment.
Yeah. Derek.
That whole rule by fear thing just really blows my mind. I don't want to go too deep into it, but it was a very touching scene. It was, very, it set the tone very well of, the family and, what they're kind of going through at the time, and just how hard it is, especially being not part of a community any longer, but you're kind of on your own, and that struggle, that it would be real. It'd be a real struggle.
Yeah, and the struggle is two-pronged, because on one, they're trying to just survive, right? I mean, they're trying to find food just to survive. And at the same time, on top of that, they're going through this philosophical, religious struggle because they've been excommunicated from their connection to God, supposedly. And they feel shunned, and these things were kind of beaten to them probably when they were kids. So it's, that's the cycle just repeating. So yes, you're right, Lydia. It is great when he basically comforts him, saying, God knows if you're a good person or not. You don't have to worry about that kind of thing. Even though it's, goes against some of the stuff he's already said.
I know. That's the hypocrisy of it. But anyway.
And we find out a little bit about William and his hypocrisy. I mean, that's kind of a through line in this movie. Is he's a man of dual nature and a man of a confused, broken man, essentially, who is of kind of two minds. There's a part of his mind that I think is wanting to adopt rational, reasonable thought, but there's another part of him that can't let go of the tradition that he was brought up in. So that's interesting to me. So what happens next is Fowler starts barking and they see a little rabbit in the woods, and he goes to shoot it. And first of all, this gun is so funny. Like the old school guns, he has a long wick attached to it, and he has to wait for it to burn down, and just, I mean, God, if they watched an 80s Stallone movie, it would have blew their fucking minds.
I've got a really funny story about a muzzleloader.
Oh.
It's not mine, so I have some family that live in Kentucky. That should tell you a lot. Anyway, they were out, I think they were deer hunting. Anyway, the guy loads his muzzleloader and puts it up there. And I don't know if it was his first time shooting this muzzleloader or not, but man, those things have a lot of kick. And when it kicked back, it really badly blackened his eye. I mean, it was huge. It was really funny. I got an enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, that's why we promote gun safety here at Screenplay Movies. That does not occur. But when he shoots it, it backfires and hits his eye. And when I first saw it, I was expecting him to have a messed up eye or something. But he's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I did too.
He's kind of like, ah! And then Fowler comes over to see if he's okay. He's like, get away from me, fool dog! And you're like, oh, I would have let Lily just lick the shit out of it. It hurts. Help me.
No, I fully expected him to have more damage to it.
Yeah, it's almost like it just, which is something that talks about. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of like that scene was just to show the bad luck of the family, the bad omen that's surrounding them, and the evil that's, you know what I mean. Yeah. As opposed to it being something that just inflicts a lot of damage and whatnot. It's not there's just another kick in the cojones because they get nothing out of it. That whole trip was wasted because they found nothing.
I think, as my fifth time watching this, I think that rabbit was directly related to some evil stuff that you find out later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's there.
Yes, I agree.
In every when the bad stuff does happen.
Yeah, I have a theory on that. My theory is that this is a prequelized version of Looney Tunes. And that's Bugs Bunny defeating Elmer Fudd's ancestors. What do you think? I think it's a good pitch.
The first live-action Looney Tunes reference.
That's a great pitch. All she gotta do is bring in Michael Jordan and Brendan Fraser, and we're good to go. So when they get back, from the woods, the mom is there, and this is where we start to see that the mom kind of is, well, not kind of, she is a complete bitch to Thomason. There is something. It's she's jealous of the youth that Thomason has, and the promise that of what a life could be for her, because she is always expecting everything from her, and everything that happens is always her fault. So she yells at her for the twins. So we get the next shot we see the twins like kind of dancing, and they're chasing the goat, which is what do they call it? Black
Phillip.
Black Phillip. Yes. So they're dancing with Black Phillip, and who's this like horned goat? What would you call it? A ram?
Yeah. Later we find out he's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. Well, that was Scream Bloody Movies, folks. Good night.
I'll cut that piece out. It was a really poorly delivered joke anyway.
Oh God. So anyway, they're dancing. They're singing a song about Black Phillip. They have this song that they sing about him. And once she tells them basically to get the twins. He comes in and he grabs Black Phillip by the horns. William does, pushes him back in and locks the gate. And he's, they see that he's like hurt essentially. And the mom is very upset. Where were you? What was going on? And Caleb lies because the father said, "Hey, don't tell her anything," because he also tells him, "I sold your mother's silver cup. I sold your mother's silver cup for the trap that we're setting and these supplies so we can eat." And he says, "Don't speak a word of this to your mother. She can never know that we went out here to do these things." So Caleb, when she confronts them and she's doing her thing, he lies and says that they went to pick apples. They didn't tell her because it was supposed to be a surprise. So she kind of lets them off. She makes Thomason go and change her father's shirt, which is this really awkward thing. He like stands there while she takes off his shirt and stuff. And
that was really creepy on the first watch.
Yeah.
Like her untying her dad's shirt.
Yeah.
That is like, you're like, oh no, this can't be good. But then it's fine.
It's innocent. It's innocent in their eyes. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's still like, it's just this, that's the woman's place, is to take care of the man at this point. And so she unties it, and the next shot we get is this great shot of good old shirtless and pantsless, because he's wearing like some kind of like loincloth made of silk or whatever. I doubt it's silk, they're poor. But some kind of cloth.
It just looks like a sheet.
Yeah, maybe a sheet. Yeah, and he's just kind of chopping wood.
Those are probably his only clothes that she just went to wash. So
yeah,
he's just like, I'll just rip the sheet.
Yeah, he still had to cut the wood to build some benches.
That guy is ripped too.
Yeah, he is in good shape considering. Yeah.
If you cut that much wood.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Chopping the wood. So
he is so perfect for that role.
He really is.
He really
is. So next we get a scene where basically they have dinner, right? There's this dinner scene. Prior to the dinner scene, there's a scene with both Caleb and Thomason at the creek. And they go to the creek, and because she's washing her father's clothes like she was told.
Yep.
So she's down at the creek washing her father's clothes, and Caleb comes over and to join her and pervs on her again hardcore. Like just...
Those hormones, man.
Yeah, it just starts perving on her, and she's oblivious to the perviness. She just thinks he's like, what's wrong? Is something bothering you? And then they come over and they start like, joking around. And guys, I'm not gonna lie, I was really worried at this scene the first time, and this time watching because I didn't remember. I was like, there's not like incest in this movie, is there? What's gonna happen here? But no, luckily not. Instead, we get, she cheers him up, tells him everything's going to be okay. She starts tickling him. He tickles her back. And then Mercy shows up in the grass, and she's like, I'm the witch of the woods. I'm the witch. And Black Phillip told me. And all of this. And basically, Thomason gets so pissed off and annoyed with these little brats. She calls them spoiled brats because, I mean, they are. She gets tired of these spoiled brat kids that she says that she's actually the witch. She's the witch of the woods. And as soon as she said it, I was like, no, don't even joke about it with these people. These folks are serious.
Yeah.
These folks are serious about this shit. So
well,
she
and
jokes.
it gets
she tells
serious.
her,
It gets serious later on. Yeah.
yeah, and she's like, "I'm the witch. I'm the one that took Samuel. I'm the one that is doing this. I fly at night. I sign my name in the book. I dance by the fire. I do all these things." And the kids she's Mercy's terrified. At first, and the whole time Caleb is yelling, "Don't tell her these fantasies," because they speak in Old English. So he's telling her not to speak of the fantasies, and why do you tell these tales, and whatever. Don't listen to her. She's just in jest, and shit like that. And she runs off. She says, "Don't tell anybody, or I will eat you next." And so they go off to dinner. And during this dinner, which by the way,
Real quick
they're praying.
about this scene, because I
Yeah,
made
talk about it.
I made a prediction that turned out to be wrong. Well, actually, it was kind of right, but it was mostly wrong. So like, I had kind of thought, oh, maybe she is kind of showing her cards here. Maybe the witch has actually like taken places. Because I would have assumed that her like sacrificing a baby and rubbing its blood would make her younger, which I guess
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
Well,
she might have switched places, and this was her like kind of showing her cards, tipping her hand. And I was wrong about that.
Yeah, and we don't.
but-
Yeah, I mean, we really don't know a lot. I mean, that's what's kind of interesting. Is I thought for sure she was, just being a teenage girl, that's annoyed with her little kids. I used to tell my brother that there were flying butts that went around and ate people. So that's what older siblings do to their annoying younger siblings. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But this dinner scene is really interesting. First of all, it opens with them praying, all of them praying together, and they start separating the food, and there is just the prayer, like their prayer hands.
That is so like, oh my god,
Awkward,
so
right?
crazy.
So creepy.
So weird. It's creepy.
It's like, it looks like they're just training to be waiters on like Sunset
Friday
Boulevard or
night.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they're holding up a foot long sandwich, a big sandwich, like a 3 foot long sandwich. So they're doing their prayers, and they start splitting the food, and it's crazy. What is that? Bread? Like, it's like a pita almost, right? Like it's a little, like, tiny bit of bread, and they have to separate it between, how many of them are there? 5? So looks like the younger kids have some kind of like stew or soup or something too, like some kind of little stuff. So they say their prayer, and they start separating all of the food, or all the food. They start separating their tiny morsel of food.
They're one tortilla.
Their tortilla. So they have their late night Taco Bell run, and they start splitting it up between them. And that's basically what it is, like a tortilla. And they split it up, and Catherine starts randomly talking about her silver cup.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is great because we, the audience, know what happened to this cup.
Yeah.
We know that William knows, and we know that Caleb knows. And we also know that Thomason has no idea what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So we watch this play out where she basically accuses Thomason of losing her cup. And her dad is a coward in this moment and refuses to speak up. And basically just end it right there and say, "Oh, the cup's I sold the cup. It's gone." You know, he tries to have it both ways because he starts saying, "She says she doesn't know anything about it. She says she doesn't know anything about it." But instead of, he could have easily ended it by saying, "She doesn't know anything about it because I sold it." You know, so we could get supplies, so we could eat and live. So this starts to draw more tension between Catherine and Thomason, and it also, what I liked about the scene is we all, at the same time I was worried. I was waiting for those twins to say something about the witch. Now that we know this information, I was waiting during that scene. I was like, are they going to do it? Is this where they're going to do it? Because we know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We know. It's a movie called The Witch. She just said she's a witch. And we have these little fuckers. Something's going to happen. So, we don't get it. So instead, we get this next scene. And I know you guys are going to have a lot to say about this next scene. Of William and Catherine in bed. So she blows out the lights, and some of them, I guess, because they're still lit, so we can see them. But, which, by the way, speaking of which, I've got to say this real fast. The cinematography in this movie is gorgeous. It's so good. It's a beautifully shot movie. I think it's a very beautiful looking movie. It's filmed with all natural light, like candlelight, stuff that they would only be able to use at that time. So candlelight, sunlight, what have you. So it's a very beautiful looking movie.
Yeah, I think just to touch on that really quick, there are points in the movie, there's very few of them, but there are points in the movie when they're shooting at night when it's so hard to see actually what's going on. But yes, it is very beautifully shot.
Yeah. And the way they move the camera movements are very good in it too, because it's very minimalist. You know, kind of let the action play out, John Carpenter approach. Which, you know, I'm a school of two thoughts. I like the steady John Carpenter school, but I also really like the Sam Raimi kinetic, fast-cutting, crazy angles as well, depending upon the movie and the mood you're looking for. But they start talking about basically she can't let it. She starts talking about the baby and how broken she is. And then she can't let it go the cup. And she keeps talking about the cup. And then she said she knew nothing about the cup. And she said, well, really the problem was that it's not about the sentiment of the cup. It's that we could have sold it. For something. Which, right then, why didn't he just say, oh.
Just come clean.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because it's exactly what I thought too when I sold it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He doesn't come clean. Instead, he goes along with her plan to basically trade away their daughter to another. She's getting old enough now that she needs to serve. She needs to serve another family. Those words are stinging. What do you guys think of this?
I teared up watching this last night. That scene. And I didn't tear up the first 4 times I probably watched the movie, I don't think. But, that time, I was just like, man, that really hurts that she is just... They're all hearing it.
Mm-hmm.
They're all pretending to be asleep, and they all are listening.
Mm.
And they all now know that they're going to just get rid of the daughter because they can't afford to feed everyone.
Mm-hmm. And not only they can't afford to feed anyone, but she uses religion as a reason to get rid of her, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, she's a wild heart, these kind of things, you know, like, I remember being her age, blah, blah. She should have already she's going to start to become a woman, that should have already happened. Basically blaming her for the evil that's sending upon the family, in a way. I mean, that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
And, yeah, Derek, your thoughts?
So, yeah, I didn't quite have the emotional response to this scene. Although, I mean, that's that's kind of why you had big families back in the day. Was they were not. It's not only great you have kids, but you needed those hands to help with farming, help with raising the other kids, like to actually, build a life. You needed as many people as possible. So yeah, I could definitely see how they're just a tool at the end of the day. I mean, obviously you care something for them, but like they needed them at that time. They needed them to get older so that they could start working on the farm. I didn't have quite the emotional response, but yeah, it is hard.
I did. I had an emotional response. My emotional response was anger. I was angry while I was watching it because it was just the ignorance of the time is why I got angry. The ignorance of you blaming the trials and tribulations that you're going through on your daughter, when really, to be honest, it seems like it's all your husband's fault because he's the one that got you guys excommunicated for whatever reason anyway. So it's like, but it's the hypocrisy of using your religion to otherize somebody else just really never sits well with me. Mm-hmm. So I had an immediate emotional response to it. Like I was like, fuck her.
So question, did anybody else pick up on this? And I might completely be wrong, but did it seem like she came from a more prominent family in England? Because she made a reference to she wishes she was in England.
Yes, yeah. They have a whole speech about glass in this very next scene we're getting into. Yeah, I agree. We'll actually touch on that right now because in the next scene, Thomason wakes up and goes out to the horse's stable and sees that Caleb is gearing up a horse to go and he's going to go find food. So that way they don't have to get rid of Thomason. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want her to go. I mean, it's his sister. He loves her. He has nobody else to perv on. So what's he gonna do? Use his imagination? Jeez.
Oh my god.
But
they do own goats. I'm just saying.
Lydia was disturbed deeply by your comment.
She was. Oh my god. It's terrible.
This episode, guys. So they set out to go do what he goes to help his sister. He doesn't want her to go. And she forces him to take her with him because he was like, no, I'll be back before midday or whatever. And she's like, if you don't basically let me go, I'm going to tell mom and dad right now. And so it looks like tattling has always been around. So that's good to know. It survived through the ages. So they set off. And once they get towards the woods, Fowler takes off. He's into the woods. He sees the bunny. And takes off into the woods. So Caleb chases after him. He says, stay here with the horse. The horse bucks and knocks Thomason off, and she passes out, essentially. She's knocked out. And the horse runs off. The horse is gone. So, Caleb is going through the woods, and he hears Fowler cry, and he sees, like, his dead dog, which automatically loses a point. There's a point that misses when you kill a dog. Unless it's in a movie that's just 10 points anyway. But, we have the dead dog, and then he stumbles upon this cabin. This little shack in the woods. And I wrote, where was it? Always run from creepy huts.
It's a rule of thumb. Everybody should follow.
The witch walks out, and I said, never mind, smoking hot Red Riding Hood.
Never mind.
So he, of course,
personally reasonable.
which is great. It is reasonable considering the character traits that have been built into Caleb already. We've seen him twice. We know that he's maturing. We see him twice look at his sister, her breast, look at her lustfully. So we know he's wanting to explore women. And this, like, smoking hot Red Riding Hood walks out of the hut. And, like, you know, goes up and starts the kissing. And then her hand turns into, like, the gross, old, wrinkly, creepy witch hand. And we cut. And what did you guys think of this bit?
I thought it was great.
Thoughts on it?
I thought, you know, it's the illusion, right?
Mm.
You're being lured in by the illusion, and then you get that reveal that it's actually the witch, which, I mean, you kind of knew that was going to happen anyway, but it was very well done. I liked it a lot. And I definitely, even with as odd as that lady was, I would not have went close to that hut. That's bad news.
No, but if you're like a, however, turning adolescent kid, you definitely would have.
No, I had more control than this guy.
Oh, would you have asked her if she was a groovy chick and if she was happening in a far out way?
That didn't work for me the first time. I learned my lessons.
You retired that one.
It's a true
Lydia,
story.
your thoughts on this scene?
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's kind of startling because you're like, oh no, like you kind of tell like when he starts walking up and he sees the little whatever
Smoking
door.
hot Red Riding Hood.
No, like he sees the door and like then it looks back at him and everything starts getting kind of foggy around him, like not like, you know, like fuzzy, like he
focus
is
shifts.
being,
Yeah,
like
focus
he's
shifts.
being like drawn in and he's already being like witched somehow, you know.
Yeah.
My camera just fell over.
Oh.
I don't know why. There we go.
The witch.
Yeah, I was really curious to hear Derek's thoughts on that since it was his first time watching this one.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
So what's cool about it is you 100% know that's going to be the witch. It's not a surprise when the hand creeps. It's not like, oh, you know, shocking, scary. But it's you know what's happening. That's why the suspense works. You know, you're like, kid, come on. First of all, bro, you look like Anakin Skywalker from episode 1. You're not gonna be. This chick's not gonna be hitting on you, man. You're little Annie. Maybe when you grow up to be Hayden Christensen, maybe. But in the meantime, it's not happening.
You know, when I was watching this movie, I didn't rewind it, so I just let it play through. But it almost seemed as if it was somebody. Obviously, it was somebody else's hand. But like, I felt like the shot revealed that it was somebody else's hand, and the end of this movie kind of reinforces that for me. That she was not alone in that.
Yes. So, when Thomason wakes up, she hears the family start searching for them. Start searching for Thomason and Caleb, and they're yelling their names, and William finds her. Comes in and gives her a big hug, and asks where Caleb is, and she tells him that she's gone. And then we cut back to the interior of the house, and it's raining. And William says he's going to go out to look for him. They have no horse. They have no supplies. They did, however, find the rabbit. I mean, he did find the rabbit, technically, before he was lured into the woods. Found the dead one that they hooked up to the thing. But he's like, I'm going to go find him. And this is where she starts, Catherine starts breaking down onto Thomason really hard. Starts blaming her for everything. Until finally, William grows a pair and says, it was me. I'm the one that sold your cup. I'm the one that took Caleb to the woods. We were in the woods looking for food. I was going to make it a surprise, but because we don't have anything. And she slaps him and they go back inside, and
she totally breaks down after she slaps him too.
yes,
Because it's out of their character to all turn against each other and lie to each other, and they're a super loving family, and she just slapped the man she loved, and she just like totally loses her mind.
yes, she does. And then she they go inside, and she's like Thomason's like tapping his wound, making sure he's okay, and the twins are sitting over there, and she's like just, you know, pissed basically, and she says, "Mother, have you put down the goats yet?" And she says, "No, I've not bedded the goats." "Well, I'll do it. It can wait till tomorrow." "No, I've got to go do it." So she says, "Come here, child of mine." And she gives her a kiss on the forehead and says, "Hurry back." So it's almost like that's kind of her way of apologizing for the stuff that had been brought up before, because now she realizes that she's been putting the blame on the wrong person this whole time. It's been her husband this whole time that has been kind of lying and not being truthful to his entire family, essentially, which is very interesting. So she goes out into the goat barn, I guess that's what you'd call it, the goat house. Call it the goat house, that sounds cool. Kind of sounds like a bar you'd find on the side of a highway, but let's all grab a drink at the goat house. And while she's out there, she hears something outside, and she finds Caleb naked, wandering, with scratches on him. And he collapses, and she catches him, and she hollers for her parents. And then we get to the real shit. It starts to go down at this point.
Right?
This is where it starts. This is where it starts to go down. When Caleb returns, I wrote that we all know what he's doing. Caleb's doing the walk of shame after hooking up with that hot red Riding Hood.
Oh my god.
He's like, I'm done with my bender. I'm ready to come home, guys.
I mean, she even took his clothes, man. He had a great time. So he comes back, and he's like out of it, essentially. He's bedridden. And so they start to like try to help him. And this is what I was talking about. So they immediately start to perform their medicine on him, which consists of taking a knife and cutting the side of his forehead and bleeding it into a bowl.
Yeah, the bloodletting.
Bloodletting, yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh. What are your thoughts on this little bit, the bloodletting in particular?
I'm sure it worked wonders.
Yeah, definitely.
I rewound it just to make sure that I got it right. I'm like, man, that's interesting.
You're like, wait, what's going on here? What? Oh, I see. They get their medical advice from Facebook. Got it.
I mean, I'm shocked that they didn't. I was gonna say I was expecting them to get the leeches out so they could suck the blood out of it.
Yeah. So, this next scene is our Crucible Moment. This is our Crucible Moment. And
Real quick,
you
real
all know
quick.
what that means.
Yeah. You know, it feels like the entities in this movie are really like breaking the family down from the inside out. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That if their faith is what binds them together, like literally they have systematically just dismantled this family.
Break it.
Faith and all. And they've turned them against each other. They've forced them to commit sin, what have you. But yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. Like that.
That's a very good point, and it's kind of the the Yojimbo effect, right? You take the enemy apart from within, you turn them against each other. Is how you do it, and that's absolutely right, Derek. I agree with that. So we have the Crucible scene coming up here, where basically they're all surrounded. It's actually one of the most effectively scary scenes in the movie, in my opinion, because they're all surrounding Caleb. William is at this point like desperate. He's like, she keeps praying. She just keeps praying. That's her solution. That's Catherine's solution for this. Is just let's keep praying over him. I keep praying that God will make him feel better. Let's just keep doing that. And William says he needs a doctor. That's what he needs is a doctor. Again, where he's right in that line of faith and reason.
Yeah.
Though the doctor would probably say, hit yourself in the head with these 2 stones and call me in the morning, for all their medical expertise. Yeah. But
here's some goat piss.
Pour it on your wound; it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So they, she starts saying that it's witchery. He's been bewitched, and he says a really interesting line here. William says we've got to take him we've got to take him into town, because he's also going to take Thomason to this other family, and he says we'll take him to the doctor, and the doctor will be able to tell us if he's bewitched or not. So, the fact that the superstition in medicine were combined at that time is very interesting. Mm-hmm. So she continues the prayer thing, and it's at this point where the twins accuse Thomason of being a witch. Says that she's the one that bewitched him, and said she told us. She said if we did anything, she would eat us, and he's like, that's not true. And William makes her get on her knees, look him in the eye, and recite prayer to her, which she does. She's like, I'm not a witch. This is not me. She thinks it's the kids. They're the ones that keep talking to Black Phillip. They're the ones that keep talking to the goat. They're the ones that's the witch. Think about it. They're the ones that came to us. They're the ones that started bringing it all on. It has to be them. And at this point, Caleb starts talking. He starts rising up, and he starts doing this thing. They start praying over him. And they all start reciting the prayer. And then he gets up and he starts talking to Jesus. Like he sees Jesus. And he starts talking to him, telling him how great his kisses feel, and how he can't wait to lay in his lap, and all of these things, and he smiles, and he's happy. Then he dies.
So you also have the twins at the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
Who are like talking in tongues or saying similar things, and then they collapse.
Yeah, they are repeating what he's saying. They're repeating what he's saying, and then they keep repeating it. And when he dies, they fall down and pass out and act catatonic. Like, basically to prove that Thomason's a witch. I wrote that they're evil little bastards.
They are, man. That scene where the dad picks them up, that one kid. And
yeah,
then he's like,
great.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. What do you guys think of this scene?
First of all, that kid did so good.
He did a great
job at acting this. I mean, they all did great, but like, congratulations to that kid. He is so young, and to pull off such a serious, like, scary scene is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, and deliver those lines in Old English. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's definitely something you have to learn. I feel like the lines in this movie, you had to just learn phonetically. You just had to learn, and then after you learned the words, then you had to place meaning to them. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how I assume. I mean, that's how I used to have to do with Shakespeare. Is you're like, what? Thou's launder, window break. What's over there? Gotcha. Like.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. Did a great job. What do you think of the scene in general? Either of you can talk.
Probably the most powerful scene in the movie. Not only because one of their family members has now died, but like, yeah, he coughed up an apple, right?
Yes.
I assume that's what that
Yes.
was. So then that gives credence to the power of the witch, right? So, and it's also like the moment where the family literally just falls completely apart.
Yeah, that's where it's shattered beyond repair.
Yeah, I mean, even to the point where the father has, he locks the little girl in the goat house.
Yeah.
And actually the two little kids as well.
Yes.
He nails
not quite yet. Not
pretty
quite
close,
yet. Yeah.
But this is the moment. This is
this is the breaking point
of
Yes.
everything kind of coming together and the vase shattering, if you will. This is where it all goes awry.
Yeah. I also feel like this is the best scene in the movie because it is that propelling into the third act kind of thing. It is the catalyst that breaks everything, and we see that the twins are just no good. They're no good, and the mom has lost all faith in everything. She's shattered. She lost her second child. The dad doesn't know what's going on. William is just a broken man because he's basically to blame for a lot of it. And then at the center of it, you have Thomason not knowing what the hell is going on. Yep. And she's just like trying to live her life. And she earlier in the movie, she has a confession. She has a confession scene where she confesses to not really believing anymore. Not really. She knows that she'll probably burn in hell, and she knows these things, but she wants to experience life and not like it is. She confesses this to God during her prayer early in the movie. You guys remember that scene?
No.
You don't?
Now I do, actually. Now that you're saying it, I can picture it, but like I probably didn't realize what she was saying at that time.
Well, that's because she was speaking in old English and you didn't turn on the subtitles. That's the trick.
I think we probably turned on our subtitles right after that, actually.
Yeah.
This was the first time I'd watched the movie with subtitles.
Because then you had to see what was going on,
Yeah.
So I think that's a parallel for what happens in the end, because she's seeking that. She's seeking something else, because this religion isn't working for her. She wants something other. So Thomason runs out because the mom tells her to get out, makes her run thing, and then her father catches up with her and basically says, hey, you need to tell me what's going on. Because he starts it off like he's really sympathetic and loves her, and he's like, but you need to tell me what's going on because there's going to be a trial tomorrow. Essentially, like, they're going to try you as a witch. See if you floated and shit. Like, madness. And she's like, I'm not a witch. What are you talking about? And then she finally breaks down and she gives it to him.
Yeah, she does.
With both barrels. She basically calls him a hypocrite, says that he's weak, he's a liar. And these are all true facts. These are all true. Because everything bad that happens, the catalyst is it starts with him lying about something.
Yep.
That's what I got out of it. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, definitely. He says, until you start like speaking truth to me, I can't help you. And she's like, oh, you want some truth?
Yeah. Here's some truth for you, buddy.
Yeah. It's like, you let me suffer this whole time and kept letting me take the fall for all your lies. Like going into the woods and whatever else.
Selling fucking your silver.
The silver cup, yeah.
Yeah. So, at this point, he just has enough of everybody. Because she says it's the twins. The twins say it's her. And she's like, they're lying. Trust me. They're lying. So that's when the scene happened that you were talking about, Derek. Where he picks the kid up and the kid's like, ah! He completely snaps out of it. It's like he's filming a scene from Roomies. And he's like, ah! And
that speech that he gives right there is so cool. I really like that scene.
Yeah.
When he goes back into the house and he's like, now tell her what you just told me. And she's like, I don't know for sure. And he's like, you knew for sure a minute ago.
Yeah.
And he just goes off and is like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take these kids and
Yes.
like
I'm gonna
bash them over the head or something.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to kill Jonah, or I'm going to kill Jonas, like God wanted Abraham to smite, and goes on this whole tirade about how he's going to just smash him over the head and shit, which is crazy.
Yes.
And then that's
but he was doing it on purpose.
Yeah,
like,
to kind of beat it into them,
so
you know, the severity of this. And that's when the kid's like, "Rah!" And he's like, oh, they are faking it. So guess what? Here's the thing. Well, I'm going to throw all of you in the goat house. You're all grounded to the goat house.
Gosh.
We also missed a bit earlier where she's milking the goat.
Oh, yeah, we did miss that.
And while she's milking the goat, the goat milks blood.
Yeah.
Which is right prior to the Caleb thing. Because the kids are like, see, she it turns the reason the crops are bad is because she's a witch. The reason that the blood turned is because she's a witch. And all of that. So they've accused her multiple times before she actually accuses the parents.
She even, at that scene, I feel like she even questions if she's a witch at that point.
Yeah, well, she thinks somebody's a witch at that point.
Yeah.
And yeah, she definitely, she knows that she's never made a deal with any entity, so she knows that bit. But she's like, something's going on. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're locked in the goat house, and he is off. And where does William go? Does he just pass out?
I thought he just passed out in the bed.
I think he just passes out.
Yeah, the wife wakes up.
Yes, I think that's right. So we see the unforgiven old wrinkly witch show up, and
in the barn.
In the goat house, and it's really creepy. And they, of course, all freak out, and it starts laughing, which kind of reminded me of, I'm going to go down in that cellar and carve ourselves a witch. Scene from Evil Dead 2.
Mm.
And at the same time that this is going on, Caleb and Sammy appear to Catherine in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And she starts talking to her and asking her, hey, do you want to sign in this book? I need you to do, we can be with us forever. All this stuff. And so she's seeing them, and then she's like, goes to breastfeed Sammy, and we cut to see what's actually happening, and her titty's being pecked on by a crow.
That was so weird.
So
it was very disturbing.
Freaky.
Yeah. I was like...
So disturbing.
She's like laughing while it's happening. Like, oh.
This feels so good.
Yeah. Like, don't think it does. Don't think so. It's like bleeding and shit.
Next week and see what happens.
God. Jesus Christ. And see what happens. Good Lord. Anyway. Next, you're going to buy a dog and a jar of peanut butter.
It's not cheating.
Jeez Louise.
Oh my god.
So, when we cut back to the barn, the kids are gone. Both the twins. The twins are Bye-Byesville. And when...
It never really gives an explanation, right? I didn't see an explanation.
No.
Just their clothes.
No, we just... The creeping laugh, and then they all back against the wall, and then we cut to the other thing and see the bird pecking on her breast. And then William wakes up the next morning and goes down to check on his kids, and that's when he sees that the barn is tore apart, like dismantled. And Thomason's laying there.
Yeah.
And he immediately blames her. And he starts to do or say something, and he's impaled by Black Phillip.
Dude.
Right.
So, yeah, because the other goats are dead. And they're strewn
Yes.
about the yard.
There's
and she's just
goats
laying there.
everywhere dead. Yep. And she's laying there unscathed. The twins are gone. And so he doesn't see Black Phillip, and Black Phillip comes up and just impales him with his horn. So he grabs a machete or
An axe.
an axe, and he goes to. You think he's going to hit it, then he just drops it, and then he gets like destroyed into like the pile of wood. Like he just gets like it's like a freaking I don't know, a smashing. He gets destroyed like a Ray Lewis hit or something. He gets Mormon is what really happens. He gets hit like Sean Taylor to Mormon in the Pro Bowl. It's just us destroying.
He just didn't get back up.
Yeah, he didn't get back up at all. He's gone. He smashes into this wood. And then Catherine comes out and sees all of this. Sees her dead husband, missing kids, just sees Thomason, and immediately attacks her.
Yeah.
And starts like hitting her and attacking her and blaming her for everything. So she, in self-defense, grabs this knife and whatever it is. It's like some kind of knife thing. And hits her with it to get her away. And she gets a cut right here above her eye and down here. And she starts strangling her to death. And she's trying to not... She doesn't want to hurt her mom. She doesn't want to do it. But her mom keeps strangling her. And she can't breathe, so she whacks her like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And then the mom just falls still. And she lays there and hugs her for a while. And then pushes her off of her. Then she goes inside and she changes her clothes. And then she falls asleep at the table. What'd you guys think of that whole bit right there? We'll cut it off there before we get to the next scene. What'd you guys think of this bit? The death of the parents.
So intense. It's just like, it's so devastating. It's so sad. Like, even though you've seen these people like go through all this, you're like, you don't want anything bad to actually happen to them. And like, I can't say that for a lot of other movies. Like, usually I'm rooting for like, I'll be like, yes, Black Phillip, like destroy those guys. But like, this is just a sad and devastating one because you feel for them and they're really just like a good family that got like really bad luck.
Derek.
Just, like, wound up in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I was really surprised when the dad got rammed with the horn, like that was out of nowhere. And then the fact that like the entire movie he's been chopping all this wood, and then he like gets, ran into it and it falls over on him, and you're just like, oh, that was a giant pile of wood that you had chopped out there. But yeah, and then the fact that she had to kill her mom, and they had this strained relationship all through the movie, and then it kind of ended the way that it did. It was really heartbreaking. It was sad.
Yeah, so my interpretation of it is a little different. I mean, it's the same. I mean, you do feel for them, but also, I think metaphorically, it is her breaking away from her family, from what those people represent, which was this oppression, essentially. She represents this oppression and this religious kind of way of life. And this is her being free. Now, of course, she doesn't kill her dad. She has to kill her mom in self-defense. She didn't want to do it. But with her whole family gone, she kind of has an open life to do what she wants. Right? She's free, essentially, until this happens. She goes out to the barn, and she has to know about Black Phillip. So she talks to Black Phillip. And as she's talking to him, she's like, are you real? What say you? Speak to me. I demand it. Then she starts to walk away, and he speaks in a human voice. and she's just as shocked as I would be. What? And he transforms right in front of her eyes from a goat to a man, dressed in all black, like wearing like some kind of like a Captain Hook cosplay or something like that. He's like totally like upper class gentleman. And he asked, and he said, "What do you want?" She said, "What are you offering?" And he starts offering her all these earthly pleasures that she's never had before. And then he says, "But you just got to sign on this line, got to sign the book." And she said, "I can't write my name." And he says, "I will guide your hand." Which is so fucking creepy.
So scary.
So good. So she does, and then the next scene, she's naked. He takes off her. He tells her to take off her thing, so he takes it off of her. And then the next scene, we see her naked from behind, walking in the woods, and Black Phillip has turned back into a goat, and he's walking beside her, leading her. And we see this bonfire, right? And we hear these women like chanting, "Whoa! Dead by dawn!" Oh wait, that's the wrong movie. But we see them chanting, and she walks upon it and sees it for the first time, and then she starts to levitate with them, and then she starts laughing maniacally, and we end.
Yeah.
So what do you guys, A, think of this ending, and B, what do you think it means? Let's start with you, Derek.
So she definitely joined a coven. I mean, I didn't really think about it too much at the time, but it could, like, the elevation could be her, like, ascension into, like, this realm of unknown, and, like, the things that he had promised her, like, this is your passage, this is how you get to that. I mean, it was an interesting ending, but, didn't think too much into it. I probably should have.
Lydia.
I really liked it. I think you're right. I think it's a lot of like freedom from religion and oppression and stuff like that. And I mean, like, I don't know what's more free than a coven of naked witches screaming and chanting and singing and dancing around a fire in the middle of the woods. Like, it's so weird, but it's so, like, I don't know, it's like something that you'll never do,
How do you know? I could do that tomorrow.
Well, I mean, maybe you could do it, I guess, but, like, I don't know, it's like, it's just crazy. Like, there's something about witches that I've always loved, but this movie makes witches scary again.
So, here's my interpretation of the ending. And I don't know what you guys are going to think of it, but here's my take. I was thinking about it a lot last night, after I'd watched it. Because my first, instinct was, this was her moving forward. Like we talked about, her ascension. But I think that I think the ending is actually a depressing ending. Because what I think she did, because she's lived under oppression her whole life, is she switched one religion for another religion. She switches one set of rules in one patriarchy to rule over her for another. Right? And this one wants her to, she is free, but she is going to do some bad things if it's by any stretch of what this other witch did.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So I think that there was a choice there that she had where she could have chose neither and just figured out her own path. But it's like, she goes from one cult to another cult. That was my interpretation. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
I can see
Sure.
where you came to that conclusion. I get it. I mean, one is definitely like less oppressive, but also the price depending on your morals,
Yeah.
is much higher. So yeah, I definitely see where you could have come to that conclusion.
And I mean, I liked the ending. It was good because it leaves open for interpretation. You know, some people can see that scene and be like, "Oh, well, I think that." I mean, I guess if they just completely disregard the rest of the movie that they watch, this is leading her to a good place. You know, or you could see it as, well, you know, it's a bad ending for her. So yeah, I really liked it.
I think I have a twisted viewpoint on it because, like, since I was really little, I wanted to be a witch, and I wanted to, like, fly on a broom, like, so bad. So I think that's probably why I get really excited when I see the end of this movie. Yes.
When I was really little, I always wanted to be married to a witch, but that's because I watched a lot of Bewitched.
Yes.
So it was
do you guys? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you guys ever watch Casper Meets Wendy?
No, we missed that one because we were just a little too old for that.
That was my movie.
We definitely watched the first Casper because we were of the right age for. I did. You watched it too, right, Derek?
Yeah.
I went to the movies and saw it with Mom and Dad and thought it was awesome. You know, shout out to young Christina Ricci and Devin Sawa. Good work, guys.
Hey, shout out to Hilary Duff and whoever played Casper in the second movie.
That was Casper. It was him. They just did a seance and he popped up and did a scene. So it was,
yes.
They paid him. They paid him with friendship because that's what he wants. Friendship and Christina Ricci kisses, which I mean, that's what I would work for.
Right. There's a lot of witch movies out there, and I watched a lot of them when I was a kid, and I loved witches. So I was really excited when this movie came out.
We'll get into some other witch movies because there's some good ones to talk about. We'll definitely get into The Craft at some point, and you know, other ones like the great Nicole Kidman remake of Bewitched.
Right?
That doesn't sound interesting at all.
I saw that in theaters.
Did you really? Oh.
Yeah, I did.
You poor thing.
I watch all witch movies.
So, guys, let's get into our rankings for this one. Let's start with you, Lydia, since you've seen this, and we kind of already know you're going to have a high mark for it. What do you give The Witch?
I'm going to give it a 10.
Oh, going with the big guns, okay. And why a 10 and not like an 8 or a 7.25 or 8 3/4?
I was going to take a point off for the dog death. I was going to give it a 9, but you really don't get very connected with a dog, so I was like, fine. I mean, you don't see, like, the cute puppy eyes, like, you just kind of see the dog running around a little bit. And the rest of the movie is perfect, so 10.
Derek, what do you give The Witch?
I'm going to give this a 7.67, or if you're into fractions, 7 2/3.
I told you. Oh, that's high mark for you, actually, though.
No, I like this a lot. You were 100% correct. The cinematography in this movie is fantastic. The lighting in certain situations, like when they're in the barn or they're out in the woods and it's nighttime, it's a little hard to see, but you know, the shots were like right on the money. There was great suspense. The story made sense. It was also it was very simple. It was a family kind of out in the woods by themselves, but you know, it was really compelling. It was a good movie. I liked it a lot.
So I had a rating in mind for this movie after I watched it last night. And I had a rating from the first time I saw it to the second time I saw it, and then for our discussion of it today. So like I had kind of different ratings. But after our discussion about it, and such, in talking through it, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It went up from, I was going to give it a 7. Because it's not my normal, typical horror movie that I... Like if... So yeah, I would have to be in the mood for sure to watch The Witch. So like if on a normal day you gave me a choice between watching The Witch or Creepshow, I'm going to watch Creepshow 9 times out of 10 because it's more fun to watch. There's more shit happening. It's more energetic. But this movie, when you're in the right mood, is just beautifully written and well acted and beautifully shot.
Yeah.
Super well directed. There's not a technically, from a technical standpoint of the film, there's nothing. It's perfectly made. It's like there's really no flaws in the technical aspect of it. And it's the word I hate is elevated horror. They call it elevated horror, and I think that's bullshit. Horror is horror. You could have, I mean, if you call this elevated horror, I mean, isn't The Shining elevated horror too then? The Shining or Dr. Sleep, would you consider that elevated horror? So, we will not use the word elevated horror here in Scream Bloody Movies because I hate it.
I mean, you just used it like 10 times. But
yeah. If you use it, you're done. You mess with the bull, you get the horns. But yeah, 8 out of 10. I enjoyed this movie a lot. It's a good recommendation. Lydia, I know you were worried when you picked it for us to watch it. I think you were worried we were going to destroy it or something. Like we are going to be
I was gonna...
movie sucks!
Well, and that's what I was worried because that's 100%, like you said, if you had another choice, like Creepshow, you would pick Creepshow instead of this. But for me, this is right up my alley of how I want a movie to flow and the story and the atmosphere and everything about it. I really enjoy these slower movies.
Yeah, I do too, depending upon the mood I'm in. For sure. Mm-hmm. If I'm in the mood for that, I love it. But there's sometimes I just want to watch Jason hacking up teenagers. And that's okay. That's okay. So, guys. Derek, where'd you go?
I'm right here.
Are you still there? Oh, okay. Your face disappeared. There you go. So, guys, who would Tom Atkins play in The Witch?
Oh, well.
Tommen.
Get out of here with that.
I would probably have him play the what was the goat's name?
Black Phillip?
Black Phillip. I don't know. I thought the dad was so perfectly cast. I thought honestly everybody in this movie was perfectly cast.
Yes.
So I would
they all are.
I'll go with the goat man. There's also a small cast,
Lydia?
so it's not like you have a lot of options.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Lydia.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about there are some characters at the beginning in the church.
Yeah, I actually think the governor was also perfectly cast.
He was great, so we really can't replace him either.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Oh, I know exactly who. You're right, Derek. Tom Atkins would play Black Phillip when he transforms, but instead of not really seeing his face, we'd 100% see his face because then we realize why she is so anxious to sign that book. It's fucking Tom Atkins.
Yeah.
He's what can I offer you? And he throws down a cigarette and takes a drink of beer, and she's like, everything. I will sign anything you wish.
That's why
Black
God created
Phillip?
pens, babe. That's why God created pens.
Yes, exactly.
Or he plays the goat version and just runs around on all fours.
And you actually hear him talking to the kids. He's like, hey, go over there and fuck with your sister.
She's a witch. I just know it.
I know she's a witch. Go tell her. And he's got the horns, and he's just sitting down drinking beer.
Horns and a beer and a cigarette.
Oh man. So that was The Witch, guys. Good pick, Lydia. What? What are you doing? They're not going to see this. We're using a completely different video feed.
Hey, I got sophisticated
It's
all of
just
a
for
sudden,
us.
okay?
Good lord. So what's the next movie, Derek?
I was actually going to look. I'm going to go off this screen. Give me just a second, because I don't recall.
Oh. Okay. Lydia and I will vamp during the time.
We can cut this out.
No, it'll be fine.
Let's see. Night of the
Lydia,
Demons.
That's next?
Yep.
All right. Awesome. So, folks, next week, it's on Amazon Prime, right?
I'm not sure.
I think it's on Amazon Prime. That's where we watched it
It
last.
has been for a while,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So, next week, folks, you need to grab your pentagrams, take a tube of lipstick, get it ready, and find the nearest guy that snorts like a hog, and head on over to the most haunted place you can think of, because it's time to experience Night of the Demons.
Yeah. If you have an option, go with the crematorium.
Yeah, definitely. It's the best way to go. So, stay tuned for that. Like I said, it's on Amazon Prime. Also, don't forget to think of what movies you want us to cover on our 4-flick 24-hour marathon. 4 flicks, 1 night, 3 hosts, 2 bottles of acid reflux medicine.
Probably.
1 room. 0 chances for Lydia to escape our farts. It is gonna be epic. Derek, where are you now?
I'm in my office.
All right, folks, that's it for this week. Be sure to like, subscribe, share with all of your friends, and also be sure to comment those movies down below. And remember, for Derek Lemaster, Lydia Judy, and me, Jamie Hiles, if you're going to scream
bloody
movies. Oh, wow.
It wasn't me.
It's good. Good job. I think it was all of
we
us.
nailed it.
Oh,
we nailed it.
Well, I think we can mess with the timing to nail it. For sure. Scream bloody movies. Good night, folks.